Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. We always have power brokers on this program, but today we really have a power broker. Scott Craigie has the rundown.
The California energy crisis in 2000, 2001, 2002 cost Nevada consumers and electric utility companies hundreds of millions of dollars. Just yesterday, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the National Commission on Electric Utilities, released 1,500 telephone conversations of traders at Enron. Traders laughing about the fact that they were frauding and deceiving consumers and utility companies throughout the West. They milked more than $300 million out of Nevada. And today we have the Chief Executive Officer and President of Sierra Pacific Resources, Walt Higgins, who's going to fill in the blanks and tell us what it means to us.
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Pat Fagan, Matt Sharp, and Dick Gammick. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
This is one of Sierra Power's main generating plants. It's right next door to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. These plants provide all the clean, reliable power that businesses need. TRI has 3 independent power generation facilities on site. For sensitive manufacturing companies and high-tech firms, this benefit is invaluable. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
Since its creation more than a decade ago, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has focused on 3 goals: preserving water quality, improving water conservation in Southern Nevada, and meeting the community's current and future water needs. Through thoughtful planning, responsible management, and collaboration, it's succeeding. As we move into the 21st century, the authority continues to embrace sustainable water development and efficient water use. That's our promise to Nevada.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And we're very happy to welcome to the program the Chairman and CEO of Sierra Pacific Resources, Walt Higgins. Pleasure to have you here, Walt.
Thank you, Sam. First of all, can you just give us an update? What are the financial stakes for Nevada, and what are the benefits now of having these tapes released in the Enron scandal?
Scott, as the time has passed, almost every day, some new revelation occurs about what Enron was up to, manipulating the market, defrauding the electric consumers and the electric utilities in the West. And as time has gone on, we've invested a great deal of money in investigating Enron's trading tapes, and other utilities have as well, notably the Snohomish Public Utility up in the state of Washington. We've worked cooperatively with them, and what we've done is taken advantage of the fact that all utilities record all of their wholesale transaction activities so that in case there's a misunderstanding later, you know what actually happened. Well, it's amazing what Enron people said on those tapes. And for a long time, we couldn't get the federal government, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, to pay any attention to the tapes. In fact, for a long time, they wouldn't release them and they wouldn't review them because they said it would cost too much money. In the meantime, Enron's trying to collect $300 million from the state of Nevada, or more specifically, from Sierra Pacific Power and Nevada Power. And we've been outraged that FERC wouldn't do something, and we pressured them strongly, and they finally agreed to hold some more hearings about Enron. More recently now, the FERC staff has now taken the time to review the Enron tapes. And they said, among other things, it's amazing how bad, what Enron was doing is revealed on the tapes.
You know what's amazing to me is the unbelievable arrogance of these traders and the people that they were working with to manipulate the markets. There was a story in the New York Times about a month ago from Matthew Wald where he quoted a discussion between an Enron trader and a Las Vegas utility person, I'm presuming it's not somebody from Sierra Pacific Resources, plotting to take down this particular utility in southern Nevada to affect the market in Southern California. And when they did this on a made-up deal, they had to declare an energy crisis the next day in California.
Sam, what you're talking about is an incident, which is now a matter of fact, where Enron asked a power plant, an independent power plant that they happen to have some control over, that happens to be located in southern Nevada, to find a way, kind of create a subterfuge where they would shut that plant down. And it did turn out that day that there was a crisis of power supply in Southern California, and Enron was busy conspiring to make the crisis worse. The theory being that Enron would then sell power from other power plants at much, much higher prices on that day and perhaps other days.
But did these morons not know that they were being recorded and that these tapes would eventually have to come out? I mean, 1,500 of these conversations so far.
Well, there have been thousands and thousands of hours of tapes, which we have reviewed and which other utilities have reviewed. And why people who know they're being taped don't remember that and go ahead and say things that are patently illegal, and that's what the federal government is now saying, escapes me. We even have cases where people were talking on tape and said, oops, we can't talk about this on tape. Let's call on our cell phones, admitting that they were going to talk about something that was not okay.
Actually, this wouldn't have broken if your company hadn't taken the lead and done this, and that was an amazing...
I honestly think that if we had not fought so hard on behalf of our company and our customers against Enron and their, what I think are just absolutely illegal efforts to get money from us for power they never delivered, when they knowingly put us in a terrible place in 2002 by canceling contracts. I mean, I think we fought, and the result has been so far that we're making progress.
That's what most of the regulatory community believe too. Bottom line, what's the chances that we get out from underneath this $300 million obligation?
We're pursuing every avenue we can, legislative, regulatory, legal, through the bankruptcy court.
Do these revelations help?
Everything that we learn about Enron that proves how bad they really are, and the depth of what they were doing, and the completeness of the deceit and the fraud and the manipulation, helps create both a public, a legislative, and ultimately, we hope, a legal framework in which we beat Enron, and hopefully everybody else beats them too.
Oh, okay. How is this affecting your status on Wall Street? I mean,
the overhang of a $300 million judgment that was for a while in place. Now, there was a reversal, so the judgment's not in place now, but the claim is still there by Enron. That $300 million claim, for a company whose market value is let's say $2 billion, that's a big number. It causes us to be doubted on Wall Street in terms of, well, are we really worth $1.2 billion, or are we more like worth $900 million? So our stock price suffers from that, and our creditworthiness suffers from that. So it has affected us in that way.
And what about people who would like to sell you energy? Are there problems with some companies who are trying to sell you energy, but they can't get the financial backing to be able to do business with you?
We certainly have had trouble with that in the renewable energy arena, where some renewable energy developers have been unable to get financing, which is normally quite easy when you're doing a contract with a utility. They've been unable to get financing because of concerns about our credit. Our credit is still what you would call less than investment grade. A euphemism for that is junk bond credit. And we are that way in part because of the damage we suffered as a result of the energy crisis. And until such time as our financials are again restored to investment grade, there will always be a little bit of trading doubt or contract doubt by power and fuel suppliers or by, let's say, renewable energy providers. There was a very good thing done in Nevada this year at the request of the governor's office, and then it may even be put into law, that provides a special fund for renewable developers to be able to partition off some of the money to pay their bills so that they could get their banks more comfortable that they were going to get paid. And that has helped some, but it would be a lot better if the utility were creditworthy, and therefore those kind of problems wouldn't exist.
We've got to take a break. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers with Walt Higgins, Chairman and CEO of Sierra Pacific Resources, right after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
If it's hot, it's here at the Pepper Mill. The Pepper Mill has over 500 of the hottest video theme slots. And with the $100,000 Winter Video Theme Slot Fest, there's no smarter time to play these winning machines. Win your share of the money with $2,000 random cash giveaways every Monday and $5,000 drawings every Friday. And new players can get up to $100 free play.
The slots that rock are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you winning?
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're here with the chairman of Sierra Pacific Resources and CEO Walter Higgins. Pleasure to have you here. The last time you were here several months ago, you could not have been more mad at the Southern Nevada Water Authority and the Colorado Commission, River Commission. I mean, you were furious. And yet, within the last couple of weeks, you had a joint meeting with them and a press conference, and everybody's friends, everybody's going to work together, all the lawsuits are dropped. What in the world happened between then and now for there to be such a complete reversal in your position?
I think a couple of things. Number one, it became clear that it was much to the advantage of all of Nevada and both of our companies if we would find a way to work together and not fight. And to that end, County Commission Chair Rory Reed was instrumental by approaching both parties and saying, it's not good for Southern Nevada what's going on here. Can't we find a way to talk through this and solve our problems? And then as we began to talk, and Commissioner, now Chairman Reed, helped facilitate those discussions, it became clear very quickly that not only was there much common interest, but there were also things we could do together that we could never accomplish independently. For example, getting them the power supply that they need to run their water facilities, which they have purchased a share of a power plant, but at the same time providing them the backup power and the other services that you need to do or provide when you're in the power business. And by doing that together, we can lower their costs, we can lower our costs, It gives us some alternate power supply. They can pump water at times when most customers aren't using power, and vice versa. The power plant could be made available. So we began to look for, at the urging of Chairman Reed, a better way to do things. And we had some very constructive discussions over the course of several months, facilitated by Commissioner Reed, but well thought out and well discussed by members of Pat Mulroy's staff, by Pat herself, by members of my staff. And we really began to see that we probably weren't doing ourselves or Southern Nevada near the good we could if we could get beyond the disagreements and the difficulties that we had had in the past and find a better way.
Now, in that answer, you talked about some efficiencies that are in the system. Can you maybe not quantify, but talk directly to consumers that are watching right now? What is the impact of these arrangements, this coalition that the three of you have made, on water bills or electric bills, or down the road maybe future power plant buildings that would save money?
The Water Authority had purchased, as they not only had the right to do, but had an interest in doing, a share of a power plant that runs in Southern Nevada. It's a good power plant. And the Water Authority needs power to move water up the hill from Lake Mead to the Las Vegas Valley, over 1,000 feet, and they need power to treat the water. That takes a lot of power to do all of that, to pump it around the valley, to clean it up, to pump it up the hill. So in the interest of getting a stable power supply, they invested in a power plant. Well, it's great to own a power plant, but when you own a power plant, all that gives you is the output of that power plant, and you don't have a backup. But you always need a backup, because if the power plant for some reason isn't running, and some days of the year the power plant won't be running for scheduled reasons, sometimes they just don't run. So you need a backup. It turns out that by working together, we can give them backup for their power plant at a much, much lower price than were they to go out and get it themselves. And we can get the advantage of integrating that power plant into our system and using it to help supplement and augment the power supply for the rest of our customers.
So customers out of both ends save money.
They should save money over the long term and, in fact, over the short term through the agreement.
Let me ask you a question that was sent in by a Sierra Pacific employee in the north here. He said that many Sierra Pacific employees are being reassigned to Las Vegas and Nevada Power. Does that imply that an acquisition of Sierra Pacific is in the works, perhaps by Idaho Power?
The answer to that is, I don't know. Nobody's called me lately. The question is not exactly accurate. One thing we are doing that we started when we merged the two companies about 5 years ago, almost 6 now, was to begin to rationalize organizations within the companies so that the right things are being done in the right places, and where there are groups of people doing things, we try to have those groups together for reasons of efficiency. We locate some things in northern Nevada and some things in southern Nevada. The practical economic and organizational realities of the state of Nevada are that more of our activity, by about 2 to 1, is in southern Nevada. So we had to make some decisions about where to put things. And the decisions we are making are moving more things toward Las Vegas than perhaps were traditionally there, mostly through consolidation. However, some things are headquartered in northern Nevada. For example, our accounting organization in its entirety, our regulatory organization. And that makes sense because, after all, the headquarters of the Public Utility Commission is in northern Nevada, therefore our regulatory organization and the accounting and regulatory organizations work most closely together of almost anybody in the company, so they're together in northern Nevada. Our transmission organization is in northern Nevada. So what we're trying to do is rationalize where things are located to obtain maximum efficiency and to make sure that organizations that need to be together are not only where they need to be, but they are together. None of that has anything to do with what interests somebody outside Nevada or outside the companies might want to do someday or not want to do relative to the, to the long-term future. There are no plans to sell the companies, and of course we wouldn't talk about M&A if it were happening anyway, but I don't know where that might be coming from.
And we're out of time, but I want to invite you right now to come back very soon, because Scott and I have so many more questions we want to ask you on many diverse topics.
I'll be
Thank
glad
you
to
so
do
much
that.
for being here.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this time out.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Those were very difficult times for my husband and I, finding the kind of long-term resources that we needed to continue his recovery and well-being. And it would have been much easier to have had a source that we could have called in one spot rather than calling friends, searching the internet.
One-stop access for caregivers, NevadaCareConnection.org.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, a great Power Pundit panel as always. Dick Gammick, the Washoe County District Attorney, is here. Matt Sharp, who is also an attorney. And surprise, surprise, Pat Fagan is here. He's also an attorney. So I guess the law will be coming up at some point today.
Well, you know, we have been through 3 years of hell, actually, as electric utility customers, north and south. The news seems to be turning around. Pat, you've followed the PUC activities for a long time. They're starting to come out of it, aren't they?
I think they are coming out of it, and there has been some concern and some doubt, and quite frankly, I think with the leadership of Walt Higgins and some of the management changes that have been made, the utility, to their credit, has overcome some significant obstacles. I think their future is still, there are still some dangers out in the future for them. The Enron matter is not settled. They'll have to be settled up, but hoping that this management will continue the good work that it's done, and that there's also been some decent work done at the PUC. I think that they'll be okay. I'm hoping.
Any other thoughts?
Well, I guess, I mean, what strikes me is the lack of corporate responsibility or accountability that's going on in this whole process. I mean, it just amazes me listening to Mr. Higgins regarding Enron. I mean, I applaud his efforts in going after them, and I mean, it's just amazing to me that they want $300 million for doing nothing.
Dick, is it just Enron, or are there other cases that you've dealt with where people just blithely carry on, knowing fully well that they're being recorded, conducting major criminal events?
Oh, we've run into that type of situation where people just get so into themselves and they just don't even think anything applies to them. And what amazes me, even as a citizen, is we go along here day to day thinking we're safeguarded and our lives are held are taken care of by Big Brother, the federal government, and the regulatory commissions. And then something like this comes up, and then what absolutely amazes me listening to Walt Higgins is how hard he had to push on behalf of the state of Nevada to even get them to take any action when we're looking at this kind of activity.
To listen to the tapes.
It's amazing. You know what worries me, Dick, and actually all three of you as attorneys, Enron's bankrupt. To the extent that they hide behind bankruptcy and say, our shareholders are, former employees, et cetera, this money has got to stay with us. I'm worried on some level that the courts end up stepping in and hurting us even beyond what's right. That's happened before in bankruptcy courts where people will go bankrupt. Look at DeLorean. His name just popped in my head. Yeah. Bankrupted the company, but he went and walked away from it a multimillionaire. It's amazing.
I think ultimately you've got to figure out a way to hold the people who put this into place accountable, the upper management that would allow something like this to go forward. I mean, it's outrageous. And until you hold those type of people personally accountable, there's no consequence.
And it's taken some time. We're starting to see other corporations found out that they've had problems. They've been operating close to the edge, along with Enron. I think that there's been a shift just in the political scene as to we're going to make these people toe the line now. These corporate abuses are going to stop, and the Enron example is a prime example of that.
Okay, I'd like to change topics here. Dick, big story coming out of the Supreme Court this past week was that they decided that we will no longer allow juveniles to be executed. That affected one case here in the Silver State. What's your thought on this? Did they make the right decision?
No, I don't believe they did, but I'm very philosophical about it. It's in the United States Supreme Court. They made the call. It's the law now. But no, we deal, what we're hung up with in this country is we still look at 16 and 17-year-olds as children, and we are talking some extremely, and again, we're talking a real small percentage of children, of our young people. So this thing gets blown completely out of shape, but for that small percentage, they're nasty. They do things now that we had crimes 10, 15, 20 years ago that don't even begin to stand up to what these people will do now. It's planned, even though we see all this stuff that say these young people can't plan. Bull roar. They can plan very well. And the thing that keeps being forgotten during this whole process, I don't give the death penalty, the judge doesn't give the death penalty. That's a jury who unanimously listens to all the information, and they make the decision to put a 16 or 17-year-old on death row. And that's a tough decision. So you got to look at how bad these people are when they make that kind of call.
You guys want to chime in here?
I would. There has to be a place where there's going to be a bright line between giving the death penalty and not. We've done it at 18 with drinking and other areas, voting, etc. To me, my personal opinion is it's probably a fairly reasonable decision to draw the line for the death penalty at 18.
Well, it's a difficult issue. I mean, I would think that I would like to defer to the jury. At least I mean, these are difficult decisions. I'm not a criminal prosecutor, but I know how juries work, and I would defer to the jury.
Okay, Scott, you get the last 20 seconds here.
Actually, it's very tough because the general public is so tired of the level of violence that exists. And on a public policy level, somewhere we've got to be able to draw a line. Now, whether the death penalty is a deterrent for young people or what that deterrent is going to be, there's got to be something so people feel more well protected by its government.
And Dick, on many things I agree with you. On this one, I disagree with you. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this time out.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
This is one of Sierra Power's main generating plants. It's right next door to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. These plants provide all the clean, reliable power that businesses need. TRI has 3 independent power generation facilities on site. For sensitive manufacturing companies and high-tech firms, this benefit is invaluable. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
And coming up on Monday,
Education and the Law, Keith Rowe, State Superintendent, and Bernie Anderson.
and you can catch all 4 shows on KKOH in Northern Nevada, 780, News Talk 780 on Sunday morning. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.